Hi there folks, so in this course we will be learning about for and while loops in Python syntax. So, Python is such a powerful language today and using its tools only benefits you, right? Before going immediately to the advanced tools of Python, let's take a look at the loops in Python that can be sorted as a basic knowledge. What are loops in general? Loops are used for iterating over a block of code a defined number of times. You can have different approaches to looping, and we are going to take a look at this right now. For loop in Python. What is a for loop? This loop is used for iterating over some kind of sequence, right? That can be a list, tuple, dictionary, string, data frame, etc. In other programming languages, for loop serves as a keyword, and in Python and other programming languages as well, it is used as an iterator method. Everything that is inside the for statement is going to be executed a number of times, right? So let's have an example of a for loop in Python. Let's create data, or let's create list, right? Because we want to be different from Python list. It's equal to loops in Python are useful, are fun. Let's say are fun. Great. So we want to print each word in this given list. So to do so, we use a for loop. So let's say for word in list, right, print word. So this, let's say this for loop, it goes over this list, and each time it prints the word, right? So the first one will be loops, the second ones will be in, and so on, right? Let's run this code to see. Great. So you can see here, loops in Python are fun, right? So let's use a second example using a string, which is highly useful for people who are using natural processing language, right? So let's create a name, right? Let's call it Michael. So we want to print the name Michael using a for loop, right? We can use for character in name, print character, right? Great, we have here Michael. So there is another hint you can use actually while using the print function. You can use end and define the end, which means how your output is printed. You can use asterisks here, and then you have between each loop you have print an asterisk. You can also use a hyphen, right? Or you can make it a space, right? All the way. Else you can just print in a new line, right? The default value in the print function is end. It's equal back slash and then n, which outputs each element in a new line, right? Let's say this using this one, which is Michael. So let's now go to the while loop, right? This loop runs as long as the condition is valid, right? When we have a true statement. We usually use a variable to serve as a counter in order to know when to stop it. Right, let's use count it equals 0. Right, let's create while count is less or equal to 10, print count, and then we have to give a count that it gets an incrementer each loop. We will add a number of 1 to the count value. Count plus 1. Right, let's run this. We can have here from 0 to 1. Right, in Python syntax, we can actually optimize this code. We can just write plus equal to 1, which is the same thing. Right, is that understood or not? Please make a comment in the section down below if you did not understood, and I will be very happy to respond to your comments. So now let's go to the accompaniment of loops in Python, such as break, continue, pass, and also else in loops of Python. So what does the break do? So the break statement is very useful for intercepting the for loop. Right, so let's create list called, let's just copy paste this one. Right, so here we have our list. So we want to create forward in list if word is equal to r, then what we will be doing, we will break the loop. Right, now let's go here and then print word. So our code, basically, we want to go over list, and whenever the loop is in the state of the word r, then the loop will be broke down, and it will not get over and not printing the fun word. Right, let's run this code. Great. So here we have Python in loops in Python, which has been printed here as an output. When the loop is running over the word or, it gets break. Right. So now let's go to continue. Continue with this statement. You can break the current iteration without finishing it and move on to the next one. Right, you can see here that we have break the iteration and finishing it whenever the loop is equal to r. Right, so let's print this one and pass it here. We can actually use just a list because it's stored in the memory, but I want to pass it here to have a visual status rather than an imaginary one. Right, so let's do forward in list if word is equal to r, then here we are using continue. So whenever the word is equal to r, we are moving to the next one. Right, so we are breaking the loop here and moving to fun. Right, we print loops in Python, breaking r, and then printing fun. So let's print our loop output, print word it equal loops in Python fun. We actually break the current iteration or without finishing the operation of the loop, and we have moved on to the next one, which is printing the word fun. Right, so let's go to x. Even though you are not using if else statement, which is conditional statement, aka decision tree, you can combine else with a for loop, right? And it is whenever the loop it finishes, the else statement is printed, right? Let's copy paste the list here, and then let's say for word in list print word print world else print this is so easy. Right, we are in this within this code we are printing all of the words in the list, and then we are printing this is so easy. Right, so loops in Python are fun. This is so easy. Right, so let's now go to pass. What does pass do? So you cannot leave the for loop empty, right? Otherwise we will have error. But when you pass it, you won't get a compile error. So let's say for word in list, let's copy paste the list here just to see it, and then let's run this code. Great, we have here a syntax error. Right, we can pass this syntax error by writing pass. Now we don't have a syntax error. However, you have to notice that this for loop is not executed. Right, so let's go to the final method and using loops in Python, and here we are talking basically about nested loops, which are loop inside another loop. Right, let's create list, let's call it here 1, which is loops in Python are fun, and then let's create another list called list 2, which are, let's say, Berlin, Paris, I don't know, Rome. Right, let's just use this one, and then what we want to do is creating for word in list 1, right, and then to create a nested loop, we will also using another loop within the first loop. We are creating for city in list 2 print word and city. Right, so what it does, what this code of block does, is that it goes over this first element in the first list and then passed it to every single element in the second list. Right, so let's run this code. Right, you can see here we have Python Berlin, loops Paris, loops Rome, and then in Berlin, in Paris, in Rome, and then Python Berlin, Python Paris, Python Rome, R Berlin, R Paris, R Rome, and finally fun Berlin, fun Paris, and fun Rome. Right, this is how actually to do a simple nested loops. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.